Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. How you doing tonight? Welcome to episode number 7 of Mac Yak. Tonight, we do have a special guest with us, Steve from the Mac84 TV YouTube channel. So, Steve, why don't you go ahead and say hi to us?
Hello to us. No.
Wise ass. I like them all.
Yep. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun. I appreciate all the banter.
Yeah, we invited Steve because we've been playing Unreal Tournament with him for, it feels like up to a year already. And until he posted a video in, I think, Low End Mac a few days ago, I had no idea the guy had a YouTube channel. So I started watching some videos and actually learned a thing or two. Like, hey, we need this guy on the stream.
I can't be educating people. That's wrong.
Yeah, well, too late.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yep. And tell us about your stream and stuff there.
Yeah, so I used to do like a video game thing, but that was very hard because like everyone was covering everything that was already out. So I said, well, what do I know best? And I looked around my garage and there's tons of old Macs. So I'm like, okay, I'll do something about old Macs. And one thing that really drove me to do it kind of was these days, if you Google anything Apple related, you have to like subtract iPhone and OS X and all this stuff. Like you can't easily find a lot of the vintage stuff. And then I saw like a few videos that just had like blatant misinformation. It's like, all right, well, I could maybe do something, and that sort of just evolved into kind of what this thing is, I guess.
That's awesome.
That's cool. And then we'll put a link to your channel in the description after the video uploads and everything. So
Awesome.
Good to have you on tonight.
Good to be here.
And just
guys,
for the next time, I feel like robbing someone. Where is this garage full of old Macs located exactly?
In undisclosed vault 50 feet under the earth.
I'll figure it out someday.
If you want to come over, just help me replace some capacitors, and I'll throw some stuff your way.
Well, I think Jay's already found his new place to rob place people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to start tonight off on a first topic of tonight is going to be comparing iPhones. Apparently, Apple has come out or actually Tim Cook has come out and told his shareholders that the people are not buying iPhones anymore because guess what? People are repairing them or getting them fixed.
Shocker.
Big shocker. However, the problem is, guess what? Apple doesn't provide any support to individual repair shops to do that. So how is that happening?
I think, I don't know, we'll put a link down there for people that haven't read the news. But I think that's just finding a scapegoat.
I think it is too. I
agree.
To be honest with you, my problem with Apple right now is the reason why people aren't buying a lot of phones is one, they're not putting a lot of new features in it. I still have I got the iPhone 8 Plus, okay, but I upgraded from the iPhone 6S, so I skipped the 7 completely.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you. I upgraded from the 6 to the 8, so.
Yeah. And so, to be honest with you, people are actually making their phones last longer because iOS, and they haven't really added any new features in the X models that interest me.
Yeah. And actually, Rossman broke it down a few days ago. He went into the stock value and all that.
Yeah, that was actually a good video.
But sure, you can blame your sales in China and all that stuff. I just think that just because you had a $29 battery replacement program, you lost $9 billion. That's just a jab at the right to repair movement. That has nothing to do with the numbers.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. It has nothing to do with that battery issue because, to be honest with you, it was their fault for doing that.
Exactly.
Going down
Yes,
the
it
phones
was
in the first place without telling people.
Mm-hmm. This should have been free, not $29.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, they actually probably made more off those batteries than they would have on dongles that year.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'm sitting here, and see, I hate that too. Like, they can't say that it is because of that. Honestly, Apple, as they sit there, and he's completely being a hypocritical pain in the ass. If you think about it, I mean, come on, he's sitting there going, "Oh, green this, makes stuff last longer, blah blah blah." Oh, but it's because they replaced the battery and they're making their phones last longer. We're losing money. Really? You mean the fact that you're wanting $1,500 for the current top model iPhone has nothing to do with it?
Or your
Okay,
Well,
game.
sure.
Yeah.
and another thought on that, Rocky, is their green initiative. They keep saying they want to be green, green, green. Well, what does
Mm-hmm.
green mean? Does that mean you keep your older devices longer and you repair
Yeah.
them and keep them working
Yeah.
instead of throwing them away
Yeah.
every
What really
Exactly.
disgusts me is the way that everything's like glued together, and it's almost like they're doing it. I understand why in the manufacturing process that they're doing some of these things, but like soldering RAM on desktops and this is just
Yeah.
like wasteful. I mean, this is just this iMac from whatever year is going to be e-waste because it has like 2 gigs of RAM soldered onto it or whatever. It's just kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous, and it's really where I just like lost a lot of my faith in some of the decisions they were doing.
Well, it shows that it has nothing to do with making it thinner. I mean, I'm sure it is a reason, but if you want your product to last a long time, which for a Mac can easily be 5 to 10 years, you don't even think about selling a Mac with 2 or 4 gigs of RAM. You
Oh yeah,
sell it with 8 or 16. Period.
and I
Yeah.
mean, how much would it cost them to, like they did with some of the iPhones early on, is just, oh, we're not going to buy the 2 gig memory chips anymore. We're just going to buy the 4 gig chips and like in bulk. I'm sure that it's not about them making money. I think it's just about them, this,
Yeah.
for lack of a better
Planned
term, like this planned on.
obsolescence.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I think it's gotten worse than it has in the past. I don't
I
know.
think the biggest thing is the shareholders want more money, okay, and the only way they get more money is to sell it. But the problem is that they've been raising the price of the iPhone. In fact, I saw a video the other day where the price of the iPhone went from the original iPhone, which started, where they had subsidized phones. You could
Right.
get a subsidized iPhone for $200. Okay, and you still paid for it over the course of the of owning it, for the 2 years because you had to have a contract for 2 years. Now, the telecom companies are not doing that anymore. So now they're selling the phone. Then they started selling it for like $700. I think the iPhone 8 was like about $700. Okay, unsubsidized. I bought mine straight out. Now you're getting 1,000 to $1,200. You're getting to the point where it's almost like a MacBook type of product. In
Yep.
terms of cost.
Yeah, and God forbid you hold on to that for more than a year.
Oh, I know.
Right. You know.
Or buy it used because you like the older model that has the headphone jack that is still equipped on it.
Yeah. Well, the problem is like Jay said, Apple's pricing themselves. Apple's actually forcing their own customers over to Android because you
Yeah.
can
I
buy you
said
can
that?
buy a good Android phone for half of what a top of the line iPhone goes for, and it'll do most of the same stuff. So
Yeah.
they're trying to they're trying to put gimmicks in like the group FaceTime, which is a
Hmm.
nice feature on some of the newer models. But I mean, I still have an iPhone 6s Plus. I can run group FaceTime on it, and I plan on keeping my 6s Plus until the cows come home. If the battery dies, I'm going to put another battery in it. Short of that thing getting folded in half, I mean, I'm going to keep it as long as I can because I
Now
don't
that
have
you've said that,
$1,400. I
ab-
thought I lost it today. I almost ran over it with a car. So thank
well,
God for otter boxes.
yeah, and it's not just that. I mean, if you think about it, okay, Apple's trying to find new and creative ways or whatever to make money. Well, there's a very simple way to do that. It's called competition. You look at what Google's done. Google's made it easier for people to flip back and forth between Android and iOS and still be in their ecosystem. If Apple opens their ecosystem, puts a way to get into iCloud simply into the Google side of things, their Google Play Store, or they add FaceTime, all that good stuff. They open up their ecosystem more than what little bit they've done with Microsoft and some of that crap. But if they were to open it up more, then people would have the option to flip back and forth between phones as they see fit, as they desire, and then increasing competition causes an increase in sales. If they start releasing replacement products, there's a cost to buying those products officially made by Apple. And guess what? There's more money. You're just reproducing something you've already produced. It doesn't cost a whole ton of money more because you're not reinventing their wheel. You're just reproducing. And with all this 3D print technology and everything else that's out there now, it does not cost a whole ton of money for them to do it. Otherwise, these Chinese companies and other areas of the world who do it that reproduce products that already existed, and they do a good job because they've still got the dies and everything else that existed before. I mean, honestly, Apple's excuse is completely null and void. There's other ways for them to be making money that they've done for a long time.
Hey, I'd
Yeah,
hate to interrupt here, but
I'm trying to fix it. Don't worry.
I was
Keep
about to
going.
say, yeah, we're having an echo problem.
Oh, who's that?
Yeah, let's
Sorry,
make
is
sure
that
that
on the
every
stream?
one of us that are watching the stream, make sure that that stream is absolutely muted.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
mine is.
if you're watching the stream in the background, you got to have it muted. Otherwise, it will echo back.
I'll say both my computers are muted totally.
Yeah, mine's no sound is on. The only sound
I'm
I've
only
got
on
is
the
my
phone.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Well, we'll blame Mike nonetheless.
Okay. It's my fault because I'm watching the stream on a PC.
Oh, why?
Exactly why.
Because my Mac is doing better things.
Did you have the
There you
volume turned up?
No, it's totally muted. The whole machine's muted. Would you like me to show you?
No. You're fine.
It's turned into a witch hunt real fast.
There. See?
Yeah,
See?
there
See that little strikeout next to the speaker? It's muted. I promise.
Well, I don't hear an echo when I check, so maybe it's just low enough that people can ignore it.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
thinking that it might be this, so I've got it next to me now instead of in front of my speakers.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
You should duct tape it to your face,
Yeah, just stick it right here.
and then when the stream ends, just rip it off.
That'd be a good lead in for the follow up to this.
What was
Okay.
that?
So we'll just go ahead and continue on the topic here, and then because I mean, as long as we want to talk about it, anybody in the chat have anything that they want to add to this talk about Apple's?
There's some weird static going on now.
Yeah, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I heard it too coming across on the
It's not me.
iPad here.
Steve, can you say something?
Me?
Yeah.
I just have the headset. I'm not even watching
Okay,
on
it's not
anything
you.
else.
Mike, can you say something?
No, I didn't say anything.
That's
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
it's
there
you,
you go.
Mike.
yeah.
Get closer to the receiver. I think your battery is about
I
to die.
think we lost.
Oh
Mike,
yeah.
reconnect.
Told you it was Mike. It's always
Yep.
Mike.
It's always Mike.
Anyways, guys, so it's not my fault this time. I'm sitting there trying to figure out if it's my fault. It's not.
Well, you're second in line to blame, so you got off easy today. Mike, can you say something?
Sounds like it's behind. Okay. All right. So Apple
Better?
wants to go back to the 90s with the way their systems are closed and virtually unrepairable.
At
Actually,
least then you could open them up still.
I was going to say, back in the 90s, you could actually open them up and do stuff to them. I mean,
I guess they meant maybe the compact Macs. A little more difficult, but yeah, you could still get in there if you want.
I would say more like the 2000s is when they started
Yeah.
where they weren't, fully repairable and stuff. But, Apple blaming people keeping their phones on, I think it's a scapegoat, to be honest.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. I think we all agree on that.
Well, if you look back only a few years ago, you held onto a phone until it broke. I mean, and I think a lot of us,
I still
especially
do.
if you're, yeah, especially if you're thrifty, like a lot of us probably are, you hold on to something until it breaks. And I had an original iPhone. I won an iPhone 3G, otherwise I wouldn't have upgraded. Then I
Yeah.
had the 4 and the 6 and the 8. Like, I'm not upgrading these every year. It's usually every 2 years or 2.5 years.
Yeah.
If it's not broken and I can still do everything I need to do with the phone, I'm going to hold on to it. It's not like a computer where if you, I mean, what I meant to say is I sort of treat it like a computer where it's still doing what I need to do. I'm not going to really throw it out and get a new one, but I guess a lot of people in the younger generations like, oh, I need the newest one, but that's not. I think a lot of us.
That used to be
Like
me.
I said to begin with, is that the newer phones they're not bringing out anything new. I mean, the Face ID. that's a gimmick to me, to
Yeah.
be honest with
Yeah.
you. Jay has already had issues with it when he shaves. Doesn't
Yeah.
recognize his face.
Shame on you for grooming yourself.
I know, I know.
Yeah, give us like USB 3 or something so I could download my 256 gigs of photos off of this phone, without, spending days doing it. Give
Agreed.
us
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't. The only reason I upgraded from my SE, which is the best iPhone to date, still in my opinion,
They don't make that anymore, do they?
is no, they discontinued it.
I don't know why. That's
Oh,
And that's
Brock's
the only
sold
reason
a.
I got this phone is because of the better camera. I like taking pictures. I like shooting video. That's the only reason I upgraded. But I hate the notch. I hate Face ID, and I hate the size. I don't like my phone at all.
Like I
Well,
say in almost
Brock says
every
he sold
single
100.
video, it seems. That's the reason why I'm on the 6S still.
This
yep.
was a
Headphones,
Hrutkay Mods
but
video.
all that. No, but every single Mac Yak video I talk about it, it seems.
Yeah, I
You go,
wouldn't have
friend?
upgraded from my 6, but I had some like weird issues with the battery, and then I replaced the battery. I must have nicked the speaker in it, and I replaced that, and it was still wonky. So, like, I just upgraded out of well, let me just get the new one. But if I don't know if I could use a phone without like the home key button, and I don't know. It's kind
That
of
you're like me.
yeah,
You're like me, Steve. I had to have the Touch ID.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
like, I
Yes,
gotta
I
have.
have to have that.
I don't know,
And the
just like
6S works
a
so
feeling of
good.
it.
I
Yeah.
mean, honestly,
Well,
the
this is the
6S is
first time
perfect.
I've been able to test my phone in. Let's see, what is it now? Right now it's 20 degrees outside Fahrenheit, and if I dip under 15, my screen stops responding.
Oh, that's nice.
I thought it was
That's
those
wonderful.
gloves with the whatever you call it, but even with my fingers, it just doesn't work. If I dip under
Wow.
15, I got to run inside to send a text. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
like I have this phone on a tripod here, and I have the headset plugged into the port here. I don't have a Bluetooth headset, so I can't charge the phone without buying like $40 dongle or whatever. Maybe
Same
I'll
here.
I'll duct tape one of those wireless chargers to the back of the tripod. I don't know, but we'll see if that works. But
Oh, jeez.
whenever I'm home with my 6S, I just plug it in.
yeah,
That way I know. But I actually got a new battery, so it doesn't drain a whole lot.
that's great.
But back before the new battery, I'd be able to record maybe 20 minutes, if that, before it was down to 20%.
Wow, your battery was bad.
Always really bad. But this thing, you can record 20 minutes, it drops maybe 10 now.
Oh, good.
Is that a plus or is that just a regular one?
Just the regular.
Oh, okay. See, I've got a plus, so mine lasts a little
Yeah,
longer.
I still have my 6, but I don't want to upgrade to iOS in it because I heard things get sluggish. But yeah,
No, it should be fine. Both James is running a 6, a regular model with the upgraded iOS, and
okay,
then my daughter, she's running a plus version of the 6 with the upgraded iOS and no problems.
okay,
Yeah, and I know it's a version newer, but when I updated the SE to iOS 12, it ran amazing, like new. Like I got all the speed from the previous upgrades back instantly.
yeah. I'm just so hesitant because you can't really revert back. That's another thing that I just can't get over. Like,
That's why you need to try it on the first day. You can still go back before they stop
yeah,
signing it.
yeah. That I mean, like, if you pay to be in the developer program, like a lot of us probably may have
Oh,
done in
yeah.
the past, like
I do.
like why can't they just like let you for your own personal purposes revert back to test something? Yeah, I know there's a
They should.
simulator and everything, but
They should.
they
Because
should, they really should.
they should consider the fact that all their customers that use iOS don't automatically update. So developers need to be able to have devices on older iOS so they can develop on it too.
Yeah, and they're selling on eBay for a premium because you have like iOS 7 installed, which is ridiculous. That's, but
Yeah.
I digress.
All right, guys. We beat this one down in the ground. I think.
Again.
Um,
We just
next
need
thing.
Tim Cook here so we can beat him down along with it.
I'll hold them down.
That would be better.
Yeah, let me dial him
He
in.
would
Hold
enjoy
on.
that. Okay, we just did this past weekend, or was it this past weekend, where
Yeah, it
we
was
just
this
tested
past
a FaceTime call. Today I found out. Should I tell you something about that, Jay?
Uh,
I found out that we were not the first ones to do that many calls at once.
Oh,
no.
No, there was a YouTuber that did it on November 22nd, but they only did 28. So we still have a chance to beat them by getting the last 4 in.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were not live streaming. We
Yes, they
have
were.
live streamed.
Oh, that's right. They weren't live streaming. They were actually
They
just
recorded it. Yeah, so we need all hands on deck. If you have a capable device that can do group FaceTime, just
We need you.
yeah.
Yes.
And Greg Thompson will pay you out of his own pocket.
His home address is.
No.
Hey, that's so nice of you, Greg.
That'd be Greg Hrutkay.
If I have 2 phones, do I get 2 paychecks?
But we did try last week. We did try group FaceTime. We got up to 16 connections, not individual people, but some of us had 2 phones or 3 Macs going,
Yeah,
and it wasn't great.
Ooh.
yeah, but we recorded it, and it was such a horrible record that, well, other than what Greg eventually got recorded, none of it was really usable. I decided it's not really worth uploading.
Yeah, I pulled mine down.
Yeah.
Keep yours up though, Greg, because we actually beat them to the punch as far as doing the group FaceTime first time live.
Oh yeah, mine's still up. That's up on.
Because that was November 1st. We beat them by almost a month.
In fact, I'm on that current Mac right now, and that's a great segue for me.
He's just been waiting.
There we go.
Well,
I am currently talking on my mid 2011 iMac running Mojave 14.2, and it has the upgraded GPU in it, the 765M. And at the end of this video at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time, we are doing the live premiere of that video. And come and join me, and we'll chat what's going on.
I will do.
Oh,
I
it's
have
one
a
of
similar
those
model,
those
so.
watch parties.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll hang on.
Yeah.
So you're
I'll
gonna
be
make
here.
me watch some more, huh?
I usually can't wait to hang up with you guys after this stream. Now I guess I better stay on.
So, guys, if you like we said, we need your help. If you go to our Facebook, or not our Facebook page, but we have a web page, mac-yak.com. If you go to that, you can get a hold of one of us by emailing us. There's an email for me, Jay, or Greg, and I think Rocky's on there too.
I've never checked mine.
Don't email me. I never checked mine either.
I checked mine, so,
I
and I
need
know
to
Jay
check mine.
checks his. So get a hold of us. Give us an email that you want to be added with that works with FaceTime. It works better that way. We don't show your number inadvertently.
Exactly.
So an email is better than using a phone number. Okay, so because that could inadvertently show. If you have an email you don't mind showing on live, then go for it. I mean, if you want to get a lot of spam or whatnot, but I think all of us have a spam, email that we can throw away, so. But it has to be registered with iCloud and iMessage or messages. So, all right. Okay, let's go ahead and go to our next topic here because we're going to come back to we'll talk more about the 32 afterwards, but the next topic tonight is our thoughts on malware. There was a post was it on LEM, or was it on, no, it wasn't on LEM, it was on Mac Pro Users Group, I think, where the guy was talking about malware and what was it, what program he say was bad? It was Clean My Mac.
Clean My Mac.
Was a malware program that nobody should install any of those things on their computer. So we wanted to talk about again. I know we talked about this before, but we can expand on it. What's good and what's bad, as far as we know. Now we all know that MacKeeper is bad. Do not put that on your computer.
Really quick, that's one of the people that runs ads over top of my videos. Never click on those links. It ticks me off so badly that
One of the reasons I do not monetize my channel.
But give to Greg's Patreon or Jay's Patreon.
Yes, please.
Me first. Yeah.
Or his Yahoo or his PayPal. Yeah.
Me eighth.
Yeah. But no, there's and it's funny because most of the people that say, "Oh, Macs don't need maintenance,"
They do.
or because Mac defragments the hard drive in the background. Man, it hasn't done that in forever. In fact, it still does it, but it only addresses files 32K or smaller. How is that going to help me with my iPhoto library or my iTunes library? It doesn't. So you get a maintenance app. I actually defragment my media drives every few months, and it speeds them up tremendously. But people swear that it's nonsense. You don't have to do that. And the same with maintenance. People will say, "Oh, Onyx is pretty good. You can do some maintenance scripts and all that. Disable some features if your Mac is older, make it snappier. But don't use Clean My Mac. That's garbage. That's malware. It's the same program with the same features. It's just made by different people, and it looks a little different. But
And
it's
they
not
charge
malware."
for it.
Has anybody noticed that Jay's voice is off a little bit?
What?
Has anyone
His
noticed that Jay is only in the bottom half of his frame?
Yeah, that too. But
God.
when he's talking, it wasn't syncing up. His voice was not syncing up with
I
his.
didn't see
I
that.
haven't
I
noticed.
didn't see it either.
Yeah, that I
Great.
just
Now
found
everybody's going to be
twisted.
staring at me.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, because you were
Yeah,
the
he
big one
looks
in the
fine.
picture, so.
Jeez. Now back on topic though, I kind of agree with you there, Jay.
That's
You
the
know,
first.
well, no, but no, Clean My Mac. Yeah, I mean it's not infectious software, but you're being charged for something that has been around for a very long time. Onyx, now it is called maintenance. Is basically the same thing. You do have to be careful though using those programs, as we all have said in the past. And I do personally run maintenance. And the reason I do that is because I do not leave my Mac on overnight. Usually it's typically off unless I'm using it. So therefore, Apple has always invested in OS 10. They've got the automatic scripts that run on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And I believe there's even a 3-month and 6-month script. Those only run when the computer is in sleep mode and off typically or whatever. So if you do not leave your computer running, allow it to go to sleep in a natural way on a constant basis because you're like me and don't want your computer running all the time, it doesn't usually run those scripts. It's theoretically supposed to do that when it comes back up and comes online, whatever. It does not. It never has. So running those maintenance scripts for me is to make sure, and something like maintenance, I do that to run those scripts forcefully instead of having to sit there. There is a whole documented file somewhere online that you can actually download and not download, but you can actually read how to manually run the scripts if you want to run those cleaner scripts yourself, whatever, that are typically ran those maintenance scripts. But you know, it's just easier to run maintenance and do it that way than to manually type them all in terminal. So,
We've
There we
got
go.
another guest in.
hello,
Well,
I don't
Collin.
see
we did for a
nobody though.
second. We did for a
Yeah,
second, but
he's
there he is.
connected. He's just not saying
I see
anything.
a computer. I don't see a person, so that doesn't count.
Where's his hands?
Yeah.
Why is he not talking?
Oh, exclamation point, and he's gone on my end.
All I see on here is just a little picture.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that kind of segued, the discussion on Facebook kind of evolved from there, from software that you don't need and all that stuff to it being malware to actual malware discussion, and that morphed into an antivirus conversation.
yep.
And that's something we've covered in I think in episode 2 or 3. But like Greg said, yes, there is malware for the Mac. No, you don't have to visit a shady porn site or something to get infected. If you go to the New York Times, that has about 30 plus ads networks feeding into their website that get hijacked all the time, your risk of getting infected with malware is a lot bigger than visiting a shady torrent or porn website.
Oh,
You
can you
can
guys
get
hear
it.
me?
You can get it anywhere.
Can you
Hey,
I
guys
hear
hear me
you,
okay?
Colin. Yeah,
Okay, good.
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Yeah, I don't have a camera I can use, but I can talk, so
I just saw
that's
your
good.
keyboard. You got a camera.
Yeah, but I can't put that on top of my monitor, because, yeah. But
Always the mysterious one.
Yeah.
I'll just talk. I don't need to use my video anyway.
Hey guys, welcome Collin Mister, aka dosdude1.
Well, at least
Hey,
on camera once.
Yes, one time.
I just
Yeah.
downloaded your patch, so
Oh, great. Sounds good.
It blew up his computer.
no, I didn't install it.
So Collin, since you're in here now, we're discussing this about malware and viruses on a Mac. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, my thought is that viruses and malware on a Mac is basically non-existent, okay? And the reason I say that is because the only way any sort of malware could get installed on the system is if you actually give it permission to do so, like you enter your password or whatnot.
Yeah, on the new ones. On
Yeah,
the
and
older,
even on older ones, it's always been that way. Like you cannot make changes to the system files unless you give it root access. It's just the way Unix is in general prevents malware from being installed in the first place.
I'd have to agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but covering malware and people with malware on their Mac for years now, and
The
especially
worst,
the way that macOS 10 has evolved, we went from signing in with your password to now in Mojave needing your password every 20 minutes to get something done on your system.
yeah,
Yep.
People are sick of it, so they will just type in their password and hit OK for, oh, here we go again.
Well,
Type OK. They don't care.
Very true.
Yeah.
you also got to remember that there are a lot of people out there. They're not like us, okay? That
Hmm.
delve deep into the system, and do things and mess with things and know how to fix things. There are people out there that just want a computer, just like Steve Jobs used to say, it just works. They want something that they get on there, they install something, they don't have to do anything. They want it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes easy means vulnerable.
Now, yeah. Now,
Okay.
let me give an example to segue into this real quick. Sorry, Greg, to interrupt, but
No, no.
okay. To give a very perfect example, I've had a family member, an older family member, and the whole reason I switched her to Apple devices is they're harder to infect, yada yada, et cetera, et cetera. And mainly it was because they're easier to use. So she goes in, she's doing her usual website stuff. She doesn't go in any shady websites. She goes to Facebook. She goes to, your news sites, just the basic stuff. Well, guess what? Some of these adverts make a whole pop up and etc. that comes up on screen, looks like it's, oh, your machine's infected, blah blah
oh
blah blah
yeah,
blah.
those are fake. I mean, it's
Yeah,
easy
and
to
she
spot for
clicks
us, I
on them
guess,
though.
but
Oh yeah,
oh
it's easy for us, but it's not easy for them. And she installed some malicious software and then wound up calling, and instead of calling me, she calls some, scammer in India and winds up
yeah,
paying him a little bit of money.
And,
So
and that's the problem right there is if it didn't work, okay, like for us, we know it's fake, that not click on that thing. The problem is scammers only have to get a few people to actually bite on it. Okay, they send out those things, millions and millions and millions of them, and there are. I hate to say it, but there's suckers born every minute. That was P.T. Barnum's favorite quote. Is
yep.
a sucker is born every minute, and that's the same with computer users. They will sit there and say, "Oh, wait, that looks like," because I mean, you got to remember these scammers are getting craftier and craftier now. They're making stuff look like it's coming from a legit site, and so people trust it. Okay, they
Social engineering.
exactly. And the problem is, like I said, we all know here on this call that that stuff is fake, and we know not to click on that stuff. Yeah, there we go. James said the most stupid ones are your Flash is out of date. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't use Flash at all. In fact, any site that uses Flash, I just don't even bother with because I'm sorry, but Flash does not need to be on anybody's computer nowadays. But
Nope.
Yep.
um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, that's the problem. I mean, I have relatives that I support on PCs, and things have gotten a lot better over the years. A little give and take, depending on what system you're on. But yeah, one of them was just clicked on one of those things. It's like, oh, your machine's infected. There's a guy with a video chat in the upper right hand corner. He gave over his credit card information. It's like, it's stupid. And you think, well, this, how is this guy getting, scammed over? Well, they're not all like us that have seen these pop-ups 1,000 times, or like, oh, this is a little shady. You might get somebody. But back to the topic of these cleaning applications, I just have never found a use for, but I actually never installed any of those ever. And I've
90% of them
ran,
are fake.
yeah, I've ran some like well researched scripts that actually did a thing that I wanted to do. But the only reason I did that is, okay, I have a purpose. I need to actually do this thing, and that's like I need to defrag the drive, or I need to repair permissions or something. And I mean, people like us will go out and they'll search for an answer like that, but I mean, I don't think it would be necessarily and I thought Apple was almost going in this method with that Gatekeeper edition, a few years back. I thought they were actually going to like keep, some sort of very light security type thing installed, and to a degree they do have one, but there's apparently like that would like search if it would find a file, it would like delete it, like some of the malware that was actually like popular at the time. I think it like they updated the OS to like find it in the
Yeah.
security updates or whatever, but it's not forward facing. And I guess that's because Apple doesn't want people to, be like, oh, I have to scan for viruses now, but
Yeah.
these antivirus software for the Mac, they still make them because people are still buying them. So
Well,
And they
in
work.
fact, I was telling these guys that when I bought my first Mac, it was a MacBook Air. I know Jay doesn't like those, but uh, anyways, it came with antivirus, Norton Antivirus, which I stupidly installed, and it basically slowed my system down. This is my first thing of Mac, and finally I said, okay, I had to wipe the computer completely and reinstall OS X, and afterwards it ran fine. I just never installed that crap anymore.
Now, Jay, on the other hand,
I'll run an anti-malware once every few weeks. I don't have one permanently installed,
Same here.
but I've been doing this long enough to know that there is plenty of malware out there, plenty of ways to catch it, and I have a repository of 150 gigabyte plus of Mac malware,
ooh, pretty.
dating back all the way to current, because I'm writing about it for Intego and for my own security blog, and I know it's out there, and it's very easy to get tricked into installing it.
and so
Not
if
for
we
me
piss him
personally, because
off,
I
he'll
know
shut
what to look
Mackie
out
down.
for, but
Now, is it true still that if because I read this piece of advice a few years ago, and I'm not sure if it's still relevant today. I know a lot of individuals, for whatever reason, accidentally or by purpose, have an administrative account that they're using as their main account. And I was reading that if you have, just a standard user account, you're more invulnerable to some of those attacks because you have to type in, your elevated
correct.
privilege or whatever. And so, I mean, there's pros and cons with that approach, I guess.
But
If you
the
have
only
someone
way
who's
that
installing
works
things and
is if you
such.
don't know the admin name and password. Because if you
That's true.
really want to install that Adobe
And
patcher so you don't have to pay $2,000 for Adobe
yeah,
Photoshop, you're going to type it in.
and that's how I set up my relatives with PCs. They're on a standard user account, and the other account is an admin account. They don't know the password, and I'm not telling them because they're going to type in something looks good enough for them, and it's going to ruin their day. So and
Yep.
ruin my day too. So.
No, that works, and that's how I ran a lot of my business clients. And sure, there's more phone calls to me, like, hey, I want to install the newest Adobe Reader. I said, why? I'm pushing that out through you over the network. You don't have to install it. Oh, I need to install this plugin so I can do this and that on Facebook. I said, no, you don't. You do that crap at home, not at work.
Yes.
So it works, but it adds some load for the IT admin, but it does work.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if in OS 10, if I don't know, I haven't installed OS 10 fresh in a long time, but when you do a fresh installation, it's still the admin account. I wonder if,
Yes.
I mean, maybe it's a way that, I mean, for simplicity's sake, having two accounts to a standard user is not going to make any sense, but maybe there's some
What a
happy
noise.
medium way that you
Mike's
could
chair.
resolve some of these people inadvertently, just putting in their essentially root credentials and allowing anything to be installed.
Yeah, no, it's all Apple would have to do is during the setup process say, hey, would you like to create an administrator account and then ask you for a normal user account
Yeah.
or explain the risks, but they would never
Exactly.
do that. It took them
Yeah.
years. And I think it was called Mac Defender at the time, at 10.6, the first
Oh yeah.
really big
Yeah.
malware that hit a lot of people worldwide.
Oh, I remember that.
I got scolded by my manager. I worked at the Genius Bar at the time. He said, "Yeah, it's malware." You know, I got pulled to the side. I said, "Max, don't get malware." I said, "Dude, we're looking at it. We're half the day of customers now are Mac Keeper or Mac Defender. Sorry, Mac Defender, Mac Cleaner. It morphed into a few different names at the time." I said, no, Macs don't get malware. I said, dude, we're looking at it. But I was not allowed to say it because that's the corporate policy. Macs don't get malware. And it took them years to admit that. And then they included Gatekeeper. And then there's actually a tool on your Mac that you never ever hear about, but it's in there and it gets updated frequently. It's the MRT, the malware removal tool. It's part of
Yeah.
Mac OS, but you never hear about it. You know,
Mhm.
they still try to play it off as Macs don't get malware, even though they most definitely do.
Yeah.
Now, what
So
would
adding
you
a second warning
suggest?
about an admin account can open you up to security issues. They would never do that, not in a million years.
Yeah.
They should, but they won't.
Now, what about some type of protection software? Because, I'm not up to date on the current best software to use for Apple devices. What would you suggest, Jay? Because, you're more current on that than I am.
I support some antivirus software, but I believe more in network protection and software like Little Snitch, because eventually every malware calls home,
Yeah.
either
Sure.
to upload your data or to get instructions from a control and command server.
Mhm.
If you can intercept that, the malware is dead. It can't do anything to you.
Right.
So I go more for a good firewall and a good software firewall as well.
Yeah, when I said I don't use the pieces of software, I didn't even think of something like Little Snitch, which I have a copy of and I own, that is like that because it's just always running. But yeah, that's a great piece of software, something like that to use to monitor your connections. And yeah, you have to be a little tech savvy to understand what it's doing and not to block yourself off from Safari. But yeah,
All right.
Yeah,
Colin, are you still on?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, we got a question for you here. Neil
Yes.
B is asking, his friend got a notification to upgrade to Mojave, but he's on a 2009 MacBook Pro. Question to Colin: do you think it's found run fine on a 2009 MacBook Pro with a 500 gigabyte hard drive and 4 gigabytes of RAM?
Yeah, Mojave will run just fine on that machine. But about that pop-up, I don't know why Apple's doing that, but basically any machine that has a copy or that supports running the Mac App Store, except for maybe on Snow Leopard, is getting that notification. And I'm not really sure why, even on like unsupported machines.
yeah, I got it
But
fine.
yes, on unsupported machines on the 2009 MacBook Pro, with my patch, you can run it just fine, and it runs perfectly well.
It runs.
You won't have
So,
any
so you do
performance
need the
issues.
patch. You do need a patch to run that, though.
Yes, you can't just download it from the App Store. As soon as you click like details on that little notification, it'll just say, and you try to install Mojave, it'll just say can't complete your purchase because it's not compatible with this system. So why
Yeah,
they're giving that notification to everybody, I don't know.
Well,
I found
Unless
that
they
very
don't have
strange.
control, they might not have control of which systems get it. It's probably just part of the App Store API.
Yeah.
But
Or they're doing it on purpose to try to force
Oh,
obsolescent
mine's
users.
old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I get them on my Mac Pro all the time.
that goes back to that. Oh, we need to sell more Macs
Hmm.
because we don't have enough money.
well,
We got
yeah,
billions and billions of dollars.
it kind of makes me wonder what my impact has been on getting people getting new Macs.
you
There you
cost
go.
Apple $9 billion, bro.
I would be surprised if they don't start knocking on your
Thanks to
door.
Colin, I didn't buy a new
My
PowerBook.
stock is in the toilet because of
Yeah,
you.
you wouldn't believe how many emails I get from people saying like I saved them from having to buy a new Mac.
Wow. That's awesome, man. I mean,
Yeah,
Good. It
I
should make you
personally
feel
have
good.
used a few of your patchers, and I've never had a problem with them. And it's just, I have one on. I'm assuming you're the same guy who did the High Sierra one.
Yeah, I did the
Yeah.
High Sierra, and Mojave patches.
Yeah, so I mean, I have a 2008 Mac Pro, and it's running High Sierra fine, and
Yep.
Yeah, he's been
it's
costing
great.
Apple a lot of money for a while.
Well, I'm not going to buy a brand new Mac that has like. I mean, you guys know you have a Mac Pro or you've seen a Mac Pro. All the I/O and the drives you could just slide out, an actual graphics card you could replace. I'm not buying a $25,000, a $2,500
Damn.
trash
Who's
can.
He's
this guy?
ramming on the space
Yep.
bar.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a mechanical keyboard. It's a little bit loud.
You have some anger issues, man.
Sounds like an
They're gonna
IBM
blame
Model
me.
M.
That's what I thought it was.
Not
Yeah.
me.
What
By
Me
the
one
way,
time.
quick question, Colin. How's it going with the Mux hat?
We're working on it. We had a little bit of a problem where it would cause some visual issues on certain LCD panels. But we think we fixed that now with our new board design. We actually adhered to like the LVDS standards of differential pairs, which I think should help a lot with that crosstalk issue. But yeah, we're waiting on the next revision of the boards to come in. But as soon as we do that and we test it, I think we should be set, and then we should be able to get like a full order to sell.
Nice.
By the way, the last thing about the Mojave update notification, and
Yes.
something that I think Colin should maybe consider doing, like a script program or something for. Even on the unsupported Macs, I've noticed this on all my systems that are running at least El Capi 10 or later. It's literally downloading the Mac OS Mojave installer, even though it's
Yeah.
not supported, which is
Really?
taking up drive space.
I didn't notice if mine did that, but I'll go check afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it gives you the pop up. Try Mojave and click here for details, and then you check your applications folder, and it's already there.
Yeah. So,
I'm gonna
Colin,
check
is
that right
there
now.
a way? Because I know there is a script to disable it to do it, but is there a
Yeah.
way you can make a program or something to make it easier for the people that don't know how to use the script, like, well, me?
Yeah. I mean, that's just one system call and you're done.
Yeah, I used an Apple script that checked my applications folder every hour, and if it found something matching the name, it would trash it.
Oh.
All right, guys. I think we beat that one down. So let's get
We
to
could beat it a little more.
a little bit more happier target here. Topic as it is. We actually have reached over 100 plus subscribers a couple days ago. Yes, we have.
Yay.
MacYak has now reached our first milestone of 100 subscribers. So our
Yeah, that
next
went pretty
milestone,
fast.
yeah, our next milestone is 500. Okay, so we're going to try to reach that one as quickly as possible. Don't know how long it's going to take, but how long did it take you to reach that, Greg?
100 or 500?
500.
Well, if you consider me coming back, it was probably 7 or 8 months. But if you consider it from the beginning of the channel, like 5 years.
Yeah, I ain't waiting that long.
No, we want to beat that record. Okay. Hell, you could take all of us besides Greg Hrutkay, all of our subscribers don't even equal the 100 we got on MacYak.
Yeah.
You remember
I think my
timing here,
personal
though.
channel is up to 35 right now or something.
I think I'm at 23 on my personal.
I was at 20 something.
10
Yeah.
grand.
But yeah, thank you
10,000
to everybody that
subscribers now.
subscribes. It's pretty
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you,
Yep.
and tell your friends.
Yeah, I got that
Yes.
list. I'm subscribed to all you guys. I just have to actually sign in and do it.
You better.
I will. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I got
Also,
28.
for
And he
some
doesn't
additional
even subscribe to
incentive,
us
when the 500 subscriber, Greg Hrutkay will donate half his collection to.
same week we hit 100, I hit 3,000, and Colin hit 9.
Nice.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Go, not
Now,
bad
I do
at all.
want to put a plug in there. There is, we have been discussing it off and on, the possibility that once we start hitting some big numbers, like the 2,500, 5,000 mark, we are considering looking at some giveaway options. So that might be in the future. So hurry up and get your friends on here so we can consider that more.
Yep.
You know.
This could be a giveaway copy of Marathon.
Oh, no way! On disc, no less. I have that on
Yeah.
CD.
There you go.
Nice.
I'll
I
donate
think that's
a
That's
30-pin
funny.
iPod dock.
There you go. Hey, I'm willing to donate a G5 Power Mac, but
Here, I have this keyboard over here. Here we go.
yeah.
Nice and yellowed.
Oh, nice.
Extended
That is,
too.
Hey,
that is
I have an
nice.
iPad cover here. You know.
Yeah, I think we just laid out enough incentive for the people to just come running to us, you know?
Oh,
we
yeah.
are
There you
gonna
go.
They want the
we are
old
going to
crap.
start talking about doing some giveaways. You know, when we reach the big numbers, especially over 1,000. Because once we hit 1,000, guess what? That's when we actually collecting revenue. Okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, personally, I would not like that because that would mean ads. I
True.
would much rather open up a Patreon or something so that our videos can stay uninterrupted. But you know,
Yeah.
Live stream.
Which we would also like to do some. We've been discussing doing some things with a Patreon, having people contribute to projects and things that we might look at or something. I know we've discussed that a little bit.
it took a while, but James said boneyard. Aha, I knew it.
Hey, Neo, we'll see you in a little bit, man. You got to go.
Thanks, Neo.
Yeah, Neo's one of our viewers. He's been here, I think, every time since
Pretty
we've been
much,
up.
yeah.
So
He's one of our regulars.
that's right. So is James and Brock.
Oh, Brock is going to donate a guitar at 1,000 followers, and I have my eyes on a particular
Screenshot that.
C5 model that he has. So
Ooh,
There
okay,
you go.
there you go, guys. There's your incentive. Or Brock says he's going to donate at 1,000.
There you
did you
go.
just call him Duck?
My brain wasn't working. I'm 52, man. Give me a
All
break.
right, yeah. Pull the old card when it suits you.
That's right. All right, guys. So yeah, thank you guys for subscribing. Get your friends on here. If you know some friends, or if you got other groups that you're in that we're not a member of that are Apple related, hell, get them over here. The more, the merrier. We try to answer questions for you guys. We want to keep this as friendly as possible. That way, you know, you guys will want to be here.
Yep. If we can answer questions and of course have a fun topics and stuff to talk about, you know, it'll benefit everybody.
Jay,
We get to yak and have fun like we do pretty much daily. Everybody that watches it can get questions answered, and you know, it should benefit everybody.
Thus the yak part of our Mac yak.
you know the face thing you were talking about?
What?
Face zoom thing on FaceTime.
Oh, you
Yeah.
see it now?
I see it. Mike's face keeps zooming in and out. And it's
Yeah.
really strange.
Only in the little corner, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing it full screen for me right now.
I don't do it on full screen
Hey.
on my thing, but I see it on my Mac.
Well, you can see it on the stream, but for those that don't know what we're talking about, sometimes, completely at random, sorry, I'm getting a little stuffy, FaceTime will start zooming in on someone's face. So you got a square with just a face like this. And the first time it happened, I saw it happened to Greg Thompson. And I thought he was trolling me. Everybody was playing dumb. I was like, oh, I don't see it. What's happening? And I took screenshot. I took a screen capture.
You have to
It's like-
have a certain supported hardware to do it or something.
It's the notch.
Yeah, I guess
It's
so.
the notch.
Mid 2011 iMac supports it.
I'm going to follow your instructions on
Hey,
that because
speaking
I have
of
a
which,
2011 iMac.
how's your new
I'm one
GPU running in that thing?
It's running great. This thing is running so smooth on Mojave. Other than the getting Mojave installed part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's not talk about the Mojave thing because he's already bricked it 3 times, right?
Yeah,
And there's a video to come.
Yeah.
I look forward to that because I have a 2011 iMac that is still my daily machine. I have 32 gigs of RAM in it, like it's like maxed out. And the graphics card on it actually died, and
not surprised.
Apple had a recall for that. Of course, at the time there was the recall. I put in my serial number, and they're like, "No, you're not eligible." But that was before it broke. So
Yeah.
I when it broke, then I went to Apple, and they're like, "Oh, we'll bring it in the store. We'll do a diagnosis." Like, yeah, graphics card failed. It's going to be $670 for a 2011
Yeah.
1 or 2 gig ATI card, and
Was it that god awful Radeon HD 6000 series
it was
graphics?
the
Yup.
67 or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. So I had the knowledge base document, which they had since taken offline. Yeah, one of those guys. Yeah, I have the knowledge base document that they since taken offline, and for whatever reason, I was able to take a screenshot of it when it said that I was eligible for the recall. And so I brought it back in the store, and they were like, "Okay, well, I will talk to my manager and see what happens." And they were able to replace it, but yeah, it's like I think it's a ticking time bomb at this point.
Oh, it
Like
is. It's that
I don't
AMD.
want to.
Yeah, AMD never actually fixed the chipset that they used.
Awesome,
So they all fail, even the new ones. Yeah.
great, yeah,
That's
yeah.
Only
I don't.
something
It's
only something AMD would do. Nvidia fixed
Yeah.
their defect. AMD did not. So that tells you what kind of company they are.
that brings me to one of the videos that Stevie Richards did about a week ago. He had an issue with his Apple AirPods, where one of them wouldn't charge. They replaced one, then the other one stopped charging, and then they replaced that one, and the first one would stop charging again. And he never ended up fixing it or getting it fixed. And I think his Apple Watch is still having issues too. But just like you going to the Genius Bar with your iMac, and they would not help you for free until you brought them proof, that is a huge shift from when I worked there. We were like, we checked the documentation, we would try to find whatever loophole we could to help you out. Now it's the complete opposite. Like, you bring us irrefutable proof that we should help you out, and fine, we'll do it. That's where they're at now.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny you bring that up because I was just talking to one of you guys. My memory is not what it used to be about the old 17-inch CRT.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, that was you. And we were talking back and forth, and so these guys in this forum, which is now archived, sort of documented the same thing where they were replacing these monitors for free, even like in 2005 or so, but they wouldn't do it unless you called up Apple and you read the knowledge base article, which was no longer posted. And then they would check and go, "Oh yeah, we do," but it was like sort of like this. You have to force them into it, and
Yeah.
it's that's a shame. I mean, I remember their support. I had a clamshell iBook I brought in way over the warranty, brought it into the Apple store. They replaced the keyboard for free because they had the part there, and they're like, "We don't replace these a lot. Like, here's the keyboard. We just can't install it for you, but here's the instructions. You can do it yourself."
Back when Apple products were that easy to disassemble.
Yep.
Speaking
That
of,
almost reminds me of dealing with a car dealer.
Yeah.
It's like trying to get your GM service and trying to get them to do a recall.
Well, if they
speaking
make
of,
if Apple makes cars, and they go full circle, so there you go.
Ooh. That used to excite me, but this day and age, the way Apple is
No,
behaving,
thank you.
no.
Oh, you didn't update your car OS? Well, we're just gonna stop getting the headlights to work for you. So enjoy.
Yeah. Or
well, since we're
somebody hijacks iCloud again and Find My Car is on. Suddenly, the car gets erased or something. Stand by the side of the road with a chassis that doesn't work. Like, what happened?
since we're kind of talking about that right now, why don't we step into the highlight here about the world's fastest 2008 MacBook?
I
Correct?
guess we kind of have to. You already put the graphics up 10 minutes ago.
So,
This excites me.
Well, I know all about that one.
Yeah. So right here we have the world's fastest late 2008 aluminum unibody MacBook right here.
Wow.
See right there.
they
I'm gonna
can't,
have
done
to
the
follow you
benchmarks yet?
again.
can't see anything, so
So
the video quality's just not that great.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't really read anything on the screen, but
Read it off to us.
it says MacBook 13-inch aluminum late 2008, 3.06 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo, 8 gigs of DDR3.
yeah.
Is that possible with the 15-inch? I have a 266 15-inch 2008.
Yeah, it's possible with any MacBook that uses the MCP 79 or MCP 89 chipset. So that's any late 2008 or later systems up until the mid 2010 13-inch.
Cool. I'll have to look into that because that's my only modern Mac laptop.
Yeah, I will say it's.
That's the same one I have.
I will say it's not an easy process. It takes about 3 hours to do.
Okay.
But it is doable, obviously, and I can
How's
do
the
it.
heat difference on it?
I didn't notice any difference on that system. Now, I did do the same mod on my mid 2009 MacBook 5, 2 board that's in my Axutron mod book, and it definitely runs a lot warmer than the original processor. But those thermals on that system are a lot worse than the ones on that Unibody MacBook. So that one runs a heck of a lot better. In fact, when I was running the Geekbench on it, the CPU fan didn't even have to get up to full speed, or not even close to full speed during the test.
This system's better than the 5, 2.
Yeah, it's better. Because of the faster memory speed, it does actually perform a little bit better than the DDR2 based MacBook 5, 2 logic board
Oh yeah.
with the same processor.
Yeah. So, Collin, you want to go into a little backstory about all of it? I mean, since you're here and
Okay, yeah. So when I initially did this, so what I've found as I've worked on these boards is that if you heat them too much too fast without properly removing the moisture from the board, they tend to popcorn. And which basically what that
Sounds
means is
yummy.
there's moisture in the board, and it basically, when you heat it, it bubbles, and it literally pushes pieces of the board like out. So it's literally a bulge in the board it creates. And at that point, the board is ruined. You can't do anything about that. So, every time I work on a machine, like when I do a GPU replacement or anything like that, I always put the boards in a food dehydrator, what I use, but it works perfectly well. You put the boards in the dehydrator and the chips and any new chips you're going to install, because they can popcorn too, for at least 2 hours. I usually do it for 2 hours or more. That seems to be about the safe spot. But Greg sent his thing in. I'm just like, man, I don't have much time today.
Yeah.
I'll just try it without dehydrating, and I've done it many times before without doing it, and I've never had that many issues, at least. So I did it, and I took the CPU off, and then I cleaned all the pads off, and I was like, and then I actually went through the whole process, reballing, putting the new CPU on.
That's the board in the video.
Yeah, and then I flip it over, and I see the behind the CPU, it's like bulging. I'm just like,
no.
Dang it, no. And then I was like, we have a little bit of a problem. The board is popcorn. It's entirely my fault for not dehydrating it. So yeah, we got another board for pretty cheap. I think it was like $20 or $30, so no big loss there. The exact same board, 2.0. So with that one, I did my usual procedure. I left it in the dehydrator for 2 hours, did the whole process again, and that was perfect. It worked perfectly fine. So lesson learned from that: never slack, never not dehydrate the boards before working on them.
Don't do it on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
When he did it.
Yeah, we just gave away our old food dehydrator, so
Yeah.
Better get it back.
yeah, well, go back to Goodwill.
But the only reason you would need it is if you're doing like BGA soldering and like heating the whole board to 170 degrees Celsius and heating the chip to 280 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's hot.
Yeah.
And any moisture in there is going to start to bubble. So, it makes sense.
Well, I'll definitely check with you guys before I attempt to do any of this.
Yeah.
I've been harassing Collin for weeks now. I said, dude, I have this PowerBook T4, and I really wanted to run an i9, but he keeps telling me no. So
just duct tape it to the back of a whatever. What's the problem?
Yeah.
Leave it on.
So yeah, I'm seriously thinking about getting the upgrade done on my 2008 MacBook, because I really like that thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I can only imagine how much it would fly with 3 gigahertz.
Yeah, the only problem with this mod is it requires removing the processor from another board. So you have like one sacrificial board. But I am going to attempt, at least sometime in the future, to utilize a PGA CPU, even though the pads are bigger, I think if I pre-tin the board, if I put solder on the board as well, it might create enough height on the solder balls to actually get it to solder on correctly.
Yeah, and
But I'm not 100% sure, and I did try this before, and the solder balls just sit too low to actually contact the board with those, like, if you've ever seen the center of an Intel processor like that, like a Core 2 Duo, it has like those little capacitors, those filter capacitors,
Like that.
and they sit higher than the solder balls do when you with the PGA chips. The BGA chips, the pads are smaller, so they have a better height.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I happen to actually have 3 Core 2s. While you were saying that, I went ahead and was showing off the height of the capacitors on the bottom there.
Well, those are desktop ones. Those are a little bit thicker than the laptop ones, but you get the idea.
I have a 266 in my MacBook Pro, so I don't know if it's that 400 megahertz or whatever is going to be that big of a difference, but it's really cool that can be done. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do on the machines with the P series Core 2 Duos, because the P series Core 2 Duos are the cut down Core 2 Duos that have half the cache and are usually low power and a lot slower.
Yeah, I can see that.
So for a 15-inch or 17-inch machine, I would probably say it's not worth doing, just because the cost, like, I mean, I do charge accordingly for the time to do this, because it's like a 3-hour process.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And that doesn't include ultrasonic cleaning, dehydrating, or any of that. But
should.
But it's probably not worth it on a 15-inch. But on a 13-inch machine, you will get a huge speed improvement.
Cool.
Like 1,000 points in Geekbench, as we've experienced.
Speaking of 13-inch machine, we used to have that mid-2012 13-inch mod.
Oh, that's another thing. So that's going to be a fun mod. I got the processor for that Greg ordered. But what I'm going to also do after I do that mod is I'm going to attempt to solder a Ivy Bridge Core i series CPU onto a 2011 MacBook Pro logic board, which in theory would basically turn it into the same specs as a mid-2012 model, because you get the Intel HD Graphics 4000, which are on the CPU. You get, I guess that's really all you get. You get the Ivy Bridge CPU performance, but it would basically be a mid-2012 at that point, other than the lack of USB 3.0. So if that mod ends up working, that would be an insanely good mod to do.
Especially on
and it's definitely worth it.
I must say that it's really fun that we actually have sort of these modding capabilities, because, like, I don't know, back with the PowerPC stuff, you can overclock and you can get some IBM chips that were similar, but with just the sheer abundance of, I guess, these Intel processors out there, and a lot more knowledge is shared by probably individuals who have the PC counterparts of them or using them in their PCs. I think it's really neat. I mean,
talk to Jay about overclocking PowerPCs.
I'm sure I will. Yeah, I mean, I got the first Intel iMac, the 2006 20-inch model, just the Core Duo, not the Core 2 Duo. And like 5 months later, the Core 2 Duo came out, and I'm like, So,
hey, well, you can at least swap it on those.
I can swap it, so I'm gonna do that. It's been sitting with its faceplate all looking kind of sad, so maybe I'll give it some attention.
Speaking of swapping, I'm sure you've seen, well, some of you have seen that I installed a CPU socket on a MacBook logic board.
Oh, nice.
So you could actually, I mean, there's only a few quote unquote minor caveats, and that is that you can't use the original heatsink or fit the logic board back into the case.
Oh, who needs that?
Oh, that's minor?
That's just a minor little detail.
Yeah, but it works. However,
it's a good test subject.
A good machine, yes, that's exactly what I used it for, with like testing the T9900 and all that. I did actually test a Core 2 Quad in that. I was able to get it to boot, but it won't boot in OS. It'll just kernel panic or freeze every single time. And unfortunately, I don't think there's anything that can be done about that.
That's interesting, because I may have or may not have installed OS 10 on hardware that was maybe not an officially Apple product that had the same CPU in it, and I
I know, but it's an
Yeah.
issue with the board's compatibility with the processor, not necessarily
Okay.
the OS.
Not like yeah, because I remember
It
having to
doesn't.
install special
The
JTEX
specific
and
the
things.
specific issue is that the board doesn't, or the BIOS at least doesn't have
Okay.
the APIC tables that support quad core processors. So if I could figure out some way to add that in there,
Oh, that would be
which
cool.
it actually can be loaded if you use like Clover or something, you can load a custom APIC table. That may work. However, I haven't tested that yet, and I'll probably end up testing that soon on
Keep us
a different
updated,
system.
definitely. That'd be cool.
But if that ends up working, then that means yeah, we can have quad core machines that were originally Core 2 Duo. So that would be a worthwhile upgrade for sure.
Oh yeah.
But currently, you a good mod for the socket, like a good machine to put like a CPU socket on. There's two candidates that would work really well with it. One is the 2009 Mac Mini, which they for some reason removed the socket from when they revised it in 09.
Ooh, I have. Oh no, I have a 2010. Never mind.
Actually, the 2010 may work too. I'm not sure how the heatsink clearance is on that.
Take a look.
But I do have one over there. I might try to modify.
Oh, he's going to check it right now. He's excited.
But I don't think the heatsink clearance on the 2010 is good enough to fit a socket in there. But the heatsink on the 09 model definitely is. And the heatsink on the 2009 iMac that doesn't have a socketed processor, like the early 09 models, the education models, those would work with a socket as well with original heatsink and stuff.
I didn't know those weren't socketed.
Nope, they're not. I have one, and I took it apart because I thought it was. I was going to test my Core 2 Quad in there, and then I saw that there was no socket. I was just like, darn, I don't feel like soldering one on right now.
Well,
so.
I'll be your guinea pig for the Mac Mini, maybe. So.
Well, I have my own, so I would test it on mine first.
I would still love to know if I could flash force upgrade my Xer 4,1 to something better.
I mean, the 4,1, that's the last model Xserve, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's so close to the Mac Pros.
Yeah.
You have to be able to figure something out.
I bet if you just flashed 5,1 firmware on there externally with like an EEPROM programmer, I bet it would boot right up.
Yeah.
Probably
if you
would.
literally just flash unmodified 5,1 firmware on there, I bet it would still work.
But does Jay really want to do that?
Not until I get another 2009 to test it.
Hey, as long as you make a backup of the original ROM, you're good. I mean, there's nothing that can go wrong. If you have the capability of desoldering and, you've got an EEPROM programmer, then that's all you need.
We're talking about Jay right now.
Yeah, I could take the ROM off. I don't have a programmer though.
Oh, well, those are relatively cheap. I use the TL866CS, which you can get for like $50 with all adapters.
Okay.
Greg.
Speaking of Mike.
What?
Well, let's get to our
talk about me like that.
All right, our next topic tonight, we're going to talk about PowerPC Macs in 2019. How can they still be useful, and do we still use them? And the answer for me is yes. I still use I have actually several PowerPCs here. I have a G3, iMac G3, an iMac G4, and a PowerMac G5. I do use the PowerMac G5 pretty much daily. And I used to play UT on. And there's a whole bunch of other things I can do with it. I use it as an iTunes server as well for all my Apple TVs and everything, because it still does work pretty good. What about you guys?
Well, just real quick, because we've covered this in the past, but we focused on gaming on PowerPC.
Mm-hmm.
What brought this on was someone in, I think it was a Mac Pro Facebook group that basically was shocked, and he used the word several times. He was shocked to hear that anyone would still be using a G5. And why would you use a G5? And it's useless, it's wasteful. Why would you do that? I'm shocked. So that's when we started telling this guy, like, well, these are all the reasons that people still use PowerPC. Hell, even older than G5.
Oh, yeah.
So you just heard what Greg uses it for. I use my PowerPC. I use the G4 for gaming, Unreal 2004 and 1999. I use my Pismo for writing. If I want to write an article, I mostly do that on the Pismo. And I use all the other PowerPCs for overclocking and experimenting, and, stuff like that.
Setting on fire.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
All I do on Power PCs these days is try ridiculous soldering modifications. So I don't actually do anything on them in most cases unless I need to. Which, I
World
mean,
iMac G4.
Yeah, like the
yeah,
world's fastest iMac G4. That's still not the world's fastest.
we've gone through quite a few logic boards for that one.
Getting
All
very
for worthy causes.
Yeah, I was so close. I was so close until I realized it was a 20-inch board and blew up my LCD.
and mine.
I have a Mac Mini G4 that a friend sent me just for the cost of postage, and I think it was like the first model, the one, or
Yeah.
I forget which one it was.
The G4 Mac Mini, there was only one
Yeah.
model.
And yeah, so it was the 1.42 gigahertz, I believe. And so I had that running for 170 days. I did like the uptime in the terminal. I never had a problem with it until recently. I think the hard drive is starting to go because it's
Yeah.
very slow to react and boot up and things.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to, mess with that. But I did just pick up a Mac Mini 1.5 gigahertz, like the model that doesn't really exist in Apple's database.
Yeah,
Like,
the G4. I have one of those too. At least I did before I ruined it.
So I just picked that up, and I have to say it's a very zippy machine. I mean, they upgraded the hard drive so it's not as slow, 4,200 RPM or whatever in there. But I have it running just for I drop files onto that, and then I use one of my classic systems when I'm doing videos and stuff, and I need some old software or I'm trying to test something. I'm on the Mac Pro over there. I send it over to the G4, and then the G4 sends it over to here. Yeah, I could set up a Pi or something or a Windows machine with Windows 2000 to sort of have that Macintosh server stuff. But this works fine. I mean, it's like,
Your shirt.
yeah. Just have my. I don't think I showed it on camera during our recording, but Steve doesn't have to know if we're running virtual PC here. So.
That's funny. But yeah, the thing with those Mac Minis is the G4 ones, the GPU is just terrible. The 9200 that they have is just terrible, especially for '05. I don't know that.
I loved the marketing switch there when they came out with the Intel minis, and they were like, "Oh yeah, built-in, Intel graphics, they're all great." And then you like look at the G4 page, and it was like saying the exact opposite: integrated graphics suck. I don't know which is actually. I would love to do like
No,
an actual speed comparison.
the GMA 950 that the original Intel Mac Mini used and all the integrated graphics Intel Macs is much better than that Radeon
Wow.
9800. Yeah,
Wow.
by a long shot at that too.
I actually have. It's a PC version, but this is the 9200. But I'm sure this is not clocked down. This is the.
No, the desktop ones are much better, but that stupid mobile one and that Mac Mini G4 is just awful. It can't.
Although
it
I gotta
barely.
say,
It
if
barely
you put OS
supports.
9 on it, it runs great.
Yeah.
I just downloaded that, so I'm going to give that a try.
Yeah, but it barely supports Quartz Extreme, and it doesn't support Core Image at all. Both of which the GMA 950 works with perfectly. So.
Yeah, Brock's asking a question here about the using a SSD in a G5, and yes, like Jay and I have said it, and Mike said, they're very picky.
They're
Because if you get one, you have to make sure you get a SATA 1 in order for it to work natively on there. Or I believe if you get a SATA 2 or 3 card, I think that might work as well, right?
You can use a SATA 2 drive if it's backwards compatible, most are, or a SATA 3 drive if it's backwards compatible, most aren't.
So I actually have a tip for you guys here, just because I discovered this sort of by chance. Because I just recently got a few months ago when I started playing UT with everyone, a G5 dual core 2 gigahertz model, so like one of the last ones. And so I don't know if the compatibility is a little different, but I just got from Micro Center one of those, their own brand, their inland brand, like SSDs. They're cheap. They're like $40 for 240 gig or something like that. I just I had one, so I just put it in, installed OS 10 on it, and never had a problem. And those are
Nice.
SATA 3, so that might be a good solution for anybody who's looking for a SATA 3 SSD, or a SATA SSD rather, for the G5, because it worked. I just plugged it in, it installed like it didn't have an issue. So.
I think Greg's trying to do a workout there.
One of these.
Well, what I found is a good SSD solution for those, well, is specific SATA, like actually SATA 2 cards that can actually boot an OS on a Power Mac G5 or any PowerPC Mac are actually relatively hard to come by because they require special firmware. But I managed to find this one card. I actually got it at a ham fest I went to for like $5, and it has a certain chipset, SIL3124, which is a SATA 2 controller. And then I found the specific Mac branded SATA 2 PCI card that was bootable on the Power PC systems. So I found like their firmware update for that.
Oh, nice.
And it was bigger than the stock ROM on the card that I got. But I got a larger 512K EEPROM. Flashed that firmware that I found on that, like I think it was called like Seritech S2E4 or something like that. But I flashed that firmware onto the card, or onto the EEPROM, and then started that onto the card, and it booted OS 10 off an SSD just fine at SATA 2 speeds. So that's like the only bootable SATA 2 option that I found for a G5.
Are the because I don't know if they're Intel only or not. This is why I'm asking the question, because I'm not sure. When I was looking around for SATA solutions for the G5 before, I just stumbled upon just putting the SSD in there and booting up fine. There was like the Apple RAID card. Is that only for the Mac Pro, or is that also for the G5?
I'm pretty sure that's just for the Mac Pro, but I might be wrong on that. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it'll work if you have the PCI Express version of the G5.
That's what I was. Yeah, because I see them fairly cheap, but I think the reason why I was looking for them is I somehow in my collection have a bunch of. They're not SATA drives. What's the? They're not SATA, but they have like the same connector. SAS drives.
SAS,
so I have like a few of those, and I was like, oh, can I just plug it? No. So that led me down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but if you ever want a cheap bootable SATA 2 solution for like a Power Mac G4 or G5 or any PCI Mac really that's PowerPC, just get any card that has an SIL3124 chipset, and then you can just flash. Well, of course you have to solder.
I'm definitely going to try that. I'll hit you up for details.
Yeah. You just get I found a really cheap 512K EEPROM. The EEPROM program I have has an adapter. You just stick it right in there. It's like a little socket, and it goes into the programmer, and then you just flash the firmware on from that Seritech card and put it in there, and it works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Or you get Hrutkay to flash it for you with his fancy PC.
Yeah, but you need an
you have to swap the EEPROM.
I don't know about that. He's been breaking a bunch of iMacs lately, so.
Hey, I didn't break this iMac. I'm talking on it right now.
Okay.
But he did give it a blood sacrifice.
No, that's not the one. He actually did give that one.
Yeah, it is.
Well, he does that peeling potatoes. I mean, there's no way this guy doesn't bleed for 1 day a week.
Well, you got to keep sharp objects away from Greg too, because
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually have a video on flashing an SIL3112 card on my channel. If you want to check that out, also, Stephen.
Yeah, sure.
Well, all right. So this is going to basically kind of segue into our next topic here. It is the 2019 Power PC Challenge, and Greg Hrutkay has basically made the rules up, or actually Jay made them up.
Yeah, Jay wrote them up.
Hrutkay didn't do S.
Oh, speaking of PowerPC challenges, I'm ready to test out these new MC7457 processors that I got today.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Those are gonna make some smoking fast MDDs. I'm excited for.
Collin and I are going to make the world's fastest MDD.
Yeah. I can't wait for my dual 2 gigahertz Power Mac G4 MDD.
With L3 cache.
So what we're planning on doing is next week after our weekly or number 8, MacAc number 8. We're inviting everybody to take the Power PC Challenge. Basically, that means mostly everything that you normally do on your iMac, try to do it all on a Power PC. I'm going to be doing it on this G5 right behind me, right there.
Yep.
I've already got my email set up for it, so I'm actually getting email on it. I have 10.4 Fox on it, which is basically the only thing right now that will really work on it. And I need to shut my dogs up because they're like being a pain right now. But I've got that going. I play UT on that. But I also have some Office software on there too. Open Office, an older version, does work on it. However, it does not open up newer versions of Word documents. So DocX files, for some reason, it basically crashes on. So,
Well, you can do that in Word 08.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
true.
we're not saying that you have to use the Power PC for everything, but we want to try to use the maximum amount of time, and we want you to log, basically keep a log of what you're doing on it.
Oh, yeah.
And or video log even, and share it with us.
Yeah,
We'll
we
send
put a
that, all
page
that
about it
video
on
to
our
Greg
website.
Hrutkay so he can create a good video for his channel.
That'd be fun. I'll
Yeah.
try and participate.
Yeah, we put a page on the website that outlines all this as well. But it would be cool if we can get a few people and kind of follow them through this experience. Like you email one of us a little paragraph about your experience, what went well, what didn't, what do you like, what don't you like, or turn it into a video, whatever you prefer. So we can kind of keep track of the experience, and come next year when it's going to be even. Every year it's going to get harder to do this challenge.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to read back on this year and say, oh, back then it was tricky to get YouTube running at 720p, but how does it work in 2020? You know?
Yeah, that's really interesting because I shot a little video of an iMac G3 running YouTube back in like 2010, 2011, and I thought, oh, this is so stupid. Like this does yeah, it'll play sort of like a slideshow. It actually played it like not bad. It was okay.
Right.
And I looked back and I'm like, you can't even load YouTube.com
Yeah, you
today
can't.
in
Yeah.
OS 9. You know, it's
I
like
enjoy
nuts.
watching 360p on my G5.
I can actually get 480i out of mine.
Oh, lucky.
I
Yeah,
Oh,
I
can
you
can
got
get,
a
get
prototype. You're
720.
fancy.
Well,
I can get the
let me
480.
tell you, it's a nightmare to get a video to play. It's a big rigmarole, but it does work. I mean, I can watch YouTube videos on it. They're very smooth and no frames drop, nothing. So, but what everybody takes for granted. You just click on it, it plays. I got to click, copy, paste, open up another program, drop down menu, paste, play, then it finally plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Hrutkay even uses YouTube to stress test his power PCs. That's how
Yep.
heavy it is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. That's
well,
how
I
I figured
also,
out that the world's fastest iMac G4 wasn't stable.
The
Of
world's most
course.
unstable iMac4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you
It
make
just
me think.
happened that was the for some reason that particular processor that I ended up using was like a really old version of the 7448, whereas all the other ones I had were a lot newer. So I mean, I didn't notice that, but like the chip literally like physically looks different than the other ones.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was up with that.
I might have some 744 series chips to donate soon. Because
Are they
I'm,
7448s?
I think
Well,
so. I don't remember what's on my Sonnet card, but I can't revive it, so I'm going to strip the chips
Yes.
those
off.
are
What
sevens.
processors? I wonder what speeds they are. If they're like the 1.7 gigahertz
That,
ones,
Colin, I can
those.
tell you what they are. They are, let's see here. They are 1.6447s. 744 sevens.
Oh, sevens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, most
basically a
people
PowerBook
pull up
G4
Mac
processor.
Tracker if they want to know what they got. I just ask Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I have. Okay, just FYI, I have. You can get the 7447 up to 2 gigahertz on an iMac G4, the 1.67 gigahertz rated one from like a PowerBook.
he did that.
I got that working on mine, except the thing was that board was the 1 gigahertz board originally, which, has the MX4 graphics card and USB 1.1 only. So that wasn't really exactly what we wanted. But that one still works perfectly fine as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, no, I overclocked the Sonnet to Dual 2.0, and it ran fine until I started experimenting with different heatsinks, and then I broke it. So
Yeah.
now it's running on a 1.42 gigahertz stock MDD card that I overclocked to 1.67, and I'm trying to overclock even higher.
No, don't do that. Just put some 7457s on there, and then you can overclock to your heart's content.
But that's not fun.
Well,
It's fun for me.
I've got 4 of them now, and Colin's got 2.
Just moving some resistors around. What fun is that? You got to put the processor on there, man.
Exactly, man.
I have a Sonnet G4, I think it is, 400 megahertz one. I'm gonna pop it into this clone machine and see what happens. Maybe I'll try the challenge on that.
Do me a favor. If it's not a card I'm familiar with, can you take really good pictures of the front and back in the resistor
Yeah,
layout so I can add it to the
Easy.
website?
Yeah, sure. I have no. It's not a big one like that. It actually goes, I think, into like the what is this slot here? It's the cache slot or whatever on some of these the
Oh, yeah,
PCI
yeah.
Power Max. Yeah. So I have one of those. I think it's like a crescendo or something. I'll send you a picture of both of them because I this other one I got. I was at a computer flea market thing a while back, and I think it's either a G3 or a G4, but it's like something like 400 or 500 megahertz. But it's a bigger card, and whenever I search the number on it, I get information for cards that look like it. But so yeah, that'll be interesting to see exactly what
What I
they're
wish I could
for.
figure out. What I wish I could figure out is how are these companies, or how were these companies, getting like. Apple has to have some sort of spec for their processor cards because I want to try to make my own.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
look
could
for it while
easily
you guys
do
are
it.
talking.
I could easily do it if I knew like the spec and like
Well,
what
you
kind of.
have 2 cards now, Colin. So
I know, but still, I need
Let's
some
see.
like written info to be like perfectly sure. There has to be some spec from Apple that details what a processor card needs to function with the system. I mean,
Well, can't you
it's not.
read out some chipsets on it and compare it
I
between
mean,
the Sonnet and the real card?
yes. However, that's still a lot of those SMD components don't actually have values on them, like printed on them, and that makes it very difficult. And that is, those processor cards are somewhat complex boards, so reverse engineering them just by sight and like continuity testing is not going to be very easy either.
I know,
So
that's why we want you to do it.
I feel like what I feel like is if you message one of these companies, because they're obviously not making money off of these things anymore these days.
well, most of them aren't around anymore.
Yeah, but like you can find people that like have worked at the companies at some point, like an engineer or something. If I could like find one and get them to like send me some schematics or something,
Oh, that'd be cool.
I could definitely make some.
I mean, your best bet would be Sonnet. They're still around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, that couldn't be not my best bet because they're still around and they might not want to.
Yeah, but they don't make CPU upgrades anymore.
What do they make these days?
PCI cards, Thunderbolt chassis, and network cards and stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Well, maybe I'll see if I can get in contact with some engineer at Sonnet.
Yeah, I've actually been eyeballing one of their 10 gigabit Ethernet cards.
If anybody knows anybody at Sonnet, reach out.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody who knows someone at Sonnet, so I could probably message them and see if I could get some schemas for these cards, because that would be amazing.
All right, guys, we need to kind of move on a little bit here. So,
but Dad,
the last topic we have tonight, pretty much, and this is going to be.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike is going to be talking about his classic corner. So, Mike, take it away. What do we got tonight?
Well, I figured I would start with one of my absolute favorite machines, probably the one that I still kick myself in the ass for getting rid of, and will kill somebody for to find again. And that is the Quadra 700. Everybody wants to know
Oh,
about old computers, so we're going to go with the best one. So, for those of us who have never worked with older computers, the Quadra 700 was the first Quadra that they made back in 1991. It was the first computer that they offered with the 68040 processor, which was also the fastest processor line that they used from the 68K era. It was also the first mini tower, although technically it was just a 2CI on the side, but it was still technically a mini tower computer. And let me tell you, the sucker was fast. So the Quadras were the first ones, some of the first computers to ever have Ethernet networking built onto them. It was only 2 and 10 megs, but hey, it was built on. It was there. Um, they were some of the first computers to support more than 20, what was it, 20 gig? 20 gigs. 20 megs of memory. They supported, I believe, 65, 68 megs
Nice.
of total
wow.
memory. Did I say gigs again?
I
I've
heard
got,
Megs.
okay, 68 megs of memory. So, but they had no video built on it. You had to, you had your own option for video cards. Um, they came standard with SCSI hard drives, as was the norm back then for old Macs. It looks like 80 or 160 megs, which was huge back then
Wow.
to run System 7.1 on. So, and they were only $6,000.
A
That's
bargain.
it?
Only?
I'll
Hurricane.
take two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were aimed at the high end market. These were computers that were aimed for video professionals and people who were doing video, photo editing, typeset, stuff like that. They are very capable machines for that. So I had the privilege of having one for many, many years back in the early 2000s, and I used to use it on the internet all the time, and it was great. It was a good machine.
A good looking
So
machine too. I'm looking at the pictures on the stream now. It's a nice box.
There was a
Hmm.
PowerPC upgrade for that board, wasn't there?
yes, there was. You could upgrade them to a PowerPC 601 because they were a lot of the 040 machines came out very, very soon before the PowerPC was introduced in '93 with the PowerMac 6100. And actually, I'm looking on Mac Tracker right now. They were actually still making the Quadra 700 until late 1994.
Yeah, it's
Well,
weird how some of those machines stuck around. They would never do that
So
today.
no, and it's a testament to it was the first and it was the last. It was one of the few machines that lasted the entire run of the Quadra machines back then. There was, I think, 12 distinct models of them, and the 700 was one of the only ones that actually lasted from the beginning to the end because it was small. People loved it. It wasn't the most powerful. It was when it was introduced, but it wasn't at the end. They did have 33 megahertz and 40 megahertz chips. But, they were great machines, and I'd still love to have one today. And they're very, very small. I mean, you have one. So I've seen your videos of your 2CI or
Yeah,
2CX.
yeah,
Same difference. I mean, they're both the same machine.
yeah. I think they actually offered the 700 board as an upgrade for those.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can just rip a 2CI board out or 2CX board out and put a 700 board in with not too many, because I believe the 2CI has the network on board, if I'm right. I don't think the 2CX does.
The 2CI has video on board. The 2CX does not have video on board.
Okay, so it's a
That's yeah,
2CX upgrade, not a 2CI upgrade. Okay.
yeah, something like that.
That's what it was.
so
I could.
I'm
I always get those two machines confused because they're like almost identical, but for very few little minor changes. So
as someone that doesn't know much about these oldies, I see two white slots in the picture. It's not PCI, but it is some kind of expansion.
It's
Those
new
are
bus.
yes,
Nubus.
Yeah.
Yep.
yes,
Okay.
there was the 10 megahertz new bus. You could buy just about any, and there should actually be three of them, if I remember correctly. or there's 2 NuBus and a PDS. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Hang on a
I think
second.
the 2CI had a few NuBus and then it
Yeah,
had a cache slot.
yeah, the 700 has 2 NuBus and a PDS slot. So the PDS slot is a processor direct slot. It's basically a main artery right into the processor with no middleman. That's where your Power PC upgrade would go. And then your NuBus cards, those were your video cards, network cards. There's even sound cards. There was a PC compatibility card, if I remember correctly, I believe.
Yeah, I have the
Um,
PCI one. I don't know if there's. I'm sure there was a NuBus one. Yeah.
I think there was. It had an 8088 on it or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And it's extremely rare, if I remember correctly. Uh, I was never really into those back then, but
Now,
yeah,
the most
just
important question about this machine: did it have the wild eep?
yes. Who did that?
I perfected my EEP over the years.
You're my god.
I'm gonna look up the your Quadra here.
What was
Oh,
that?
This
you
was
have
this.
one.
Yeah,
You
this
have
is.
one.
I don't have a Quadra, but I have one of these
Oh,
books that lists all the
okay.
specs. Let's see if
I
this
have
is
one.
up to date.
Hey, you're not in Pennsylvania, are you?
No, I'm not that far from Pennsylvania, but I'm not in Pennsylvania.
I'm one step closer to figuring out where that basement is.
Notice how I'm very vague in my answers.
Well, then he would either have to be in Maryland, Ohio, New Jersey, or New York if he's close.
If
No
he's in
comment.
Ohio, he is screwed.
Well, if he's in
I,
New Jersey or Maryland, he's doubly screwed because I'm not too far away from either.
oops. No comment.
And judging by the fact he doesn't have hair, I'd say New Jersey.
I am not giving you any hints.
Oh, this is nothing a small Facebook search can't find.
Yeah, well, have fun
Let's
with
see
that.
here. YouTube. We're gonna put this PC here to good use. But
We
so
got the comments. Londo's hair is saying the Q950 is my favorite.
that was the 900 was the other launch model of the Quadra. The 950 was an upgrade. But the 900 was the other launch model right along the 700. That is an absolutely bloody huge machine. That thing makes a Power Mac G5 look like a small tower.
It's
It
Wow.
is,
impressive.
it is one humongous chunk of plastic, and the damn thing has a key. And I mean a literal key. I had one of those too. They're awesome machines too.
Oh, I never heard of this. I'm just showing it to you guys because it sort of fits our conversation. Macintosh SE Bus PC card, PC drive card.
Yep.
Nice.
What?
It's you
Heard of
need
them.
it's to read the 5 1/4 discs on a SE.
Oh crap! Oh, that
Very
must have been.
interesting.
That's pretty. Yeah, that is very interesting.
Copyright 1987, order number M5023. There you
I
go.
have never heard of such a thing.
Neither have I. You learn something new every day.
I thought you
Oh,
weren't into
wow.
education, bro.
Well,
Why
I
am I explaining this crap? He's got the book.
It's
I'm
Are
true.
you a
trying to
foreigner?
read.
He's making me look bad now. I don't like this anymore. I'm done.
Ooh, a whole document about
That's it.
AOX. There
Now
you
I'm
go.
really going to find out where this guy lives.
You can help me scan this book while you're at it.
Hey, I got a big auto scanner. I can do that.
Oh, that's cool.
Let me know where he lives, Mike.
Hey,
Give me a second here.
Yeah, let's not publicly say that. Let's
No,
keep
I
that
would never
private.
do. I would never do that.
All
I
right, we got a
would.
question for Collin here. Brock has a question. Is there a fix for his crashing Photos app using your install of Mac OS 10.14 using ATI Radeon HD 4670 256 megabytes?
Yep. So
It's a loaded
first question is, did you do an upgrade or a clean install? That's what I always ask when those types of situations occur, because sometimes it can be an issue with a previously used Photos library. Otherwise, it could be something with the non-metal video card. Some, like I know DVD player doesn't work at all with a non-metal video card. But I don't know if the Photos app has any weird incompatibilities. I haven't actually experimented with that, but I don't see why it wouldn't. So,
All right, we're still waiting for him to catch up here, so hopefully he'll answer your question if it was a.
Yeah. In the meantime, I have a question, or more of a comment about
It
the
was an
Quadra.
upgrade.
Okay, yeah. In the case of an upgrade, a clean install of Mojave would probably fix that issue. That seems to be the thing that fixes most of these weird oddities. So you can just back up any important data, format, and reinstall OS 10, and in that, once you do that, you shouldn't have any more problems.
Hopefully, everybody can see that's a Quadra 950 image off of the internet there.
Hey, it's got a CD-ROM. No fair. Jerk.
As I'm looking at the pictures that Greg was overlaying on the
Yeah,
stream,
I'd love to find the
it's
source of these
the back of the
support
units
tools,
where
this
you have the
binder,
power
because I've seen some
connector.
PDFs online where it's just like 1 or 2 pages out of this thing, but mine I think only goes up to like 90 or 91. But I mean, there's really cool stuff in here. There's like these Applegram newsletters, and this is talking all about the Macintosh Portable. This is September 20th, 89. So I'd love to know. I've seen some with like discs and CDs. I don't know if it would have all this stuff on it, but any of you guys ever come across one, I'd be interested in taking a look at that.
That would be
Trade you for an
Jay going
address.
through his warehouse.
Yeah, yeah. There's.
I think Jay had a question there, though.
Yeah, well, more of a
Yeah.
comment. When I'm looking at the back of this machine, and I know my G3 and some of the G4s had that as well, you have incoming power for the system, but you also had a plug on the computer to power a display. And I missed that. I mean, of course you can
Yeah, I
put
know.
down a power strip, and it's all good, but there's plenty of space in my Mac Pro to have that port to automatically power a display, and when you power the computer off, your display powers off too. I missed
Well,
that feature.
I
Well,
think the
not
main thing
only
is that kind of died with. I think that kind of died with CRTs.
The
Because
G3 was the last one to have it, wasn't it?
no,
G3?
the G4. I thought.
The
I
early
thought the
one?
MDD still had them. Don't the
MDD?
MDDs?
My
Had the last one.
No,
I
my
MDD
hear
doesn't have
half
it.
of that.
yeah, my
MDD
Quicksilver
doesn't
doesn't have it either.
Oh,
I know
okay.
my Sawtooth
What'd
did.
we say? I couldn't hear the question.
He was commenting about the monitor pass through on the power supply.
Yeah.
I think they tried to get rid of that with ADC, but of course that doesn't exist anymore either. So,
Yeah, that didn't last very long either.
Rest in peace. Good
Hey,
riddance.
I like my ADC monitor. I use my ADC monitor every day.
Got one right.
I wish I had space to set mine up.
Not on an ADC card, thank God. But
Yeah, I mean, good riddance to any proprietary stuff that just makes it more of a headache when you're just trying to get something to work.
Mm-hmm.
well, I will give Apple a little bit of credit with the ADC system. It was a good idea, it really was.
Yes, it
But
was.
they kind of put their own nail in their foot with it because they were limiting people to their own displays, and they were so expensive because
Yes.
at the time, and now you're talking what 2000? Correct me, 2004,
Yeah, something like that.
2005,
Yeah.
when these things came out.
no,
LCD
it was
monitors.
early 2000s, like
Yeah,
2004.
2002. Yeah, something like around.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, 2002.
Because there was the CRT ADC
Oh,
monitor
that's
also.
right. There was a 21 inch or a 23 inch or something. I
17.
think.
There's a 17-inch CRT that's the
That's
only
right. I
ADC
forgot about
CRT.
those.
Yep.
But even those were Sony Trinitrons, and
Yeah.
they were ridiculously
They
expensive.
were
They're beautiful
$7.99, I think.
screens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why pay $7.99 when you can go buy a generic monitor
Yeah.
for
I think
$189? You know.
one of the biggest issues with ADC is you could only have one ADC card, so you couldn't drive two
Yeah.
ADC monitors.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
The adapter.
Yeah, you had to buy what is a $100 DVI to ADC or one of
Well,
the
I thought
opposite.
those were
Yeah.
included.
I picked one up
I thought.
yesterday for $5.
They weren't included.
Yeah, jerk. I thought you used to get those with the monitor. Or I didn't know you had to buy those
Oh, oh
separately.
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, Apple including adapters? No, I
yeah.
don't think so.
yeah. Those
Well,
actually
this was
came out. Those came out later.
Yeah.
Actually the first adapter that came out was something called and I have one of these. It's called a DrBot Deviator,
Yep.
and it connects to a Power Mac G4 Cube power supply, and it basically
Oh,
converts DVI to ADC.
The first official one that came out, I think, was 2002.
And I think the whole reason was so they could sell it to the PowerBook owners. So your PowerBook had the DVI slot, DVI
exactly.
port,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they
Actually,
wanted you to buy the
I
adapter
read this
probably.
somewhere. The original intent of it was to use it with Power Mac G3 systems, like the blue and white,
Oh, really?
with ADC monitors. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think the Cube was the first machine to have ADC.
Yes.
Okay.
And the problem with the ADC on the Cube was the power supply had a tendency to go pop, fizzle, fry when you hooked a larger CRT up to it, or
And
even some of the 23-inch LCDs used to give them trouble.
yeah,
So, um, but yeah, I don't miss ADC. I like my monitor. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a good monitor. So it's just, yeah, I'm glad the technology disappeared. A good idea, but yeah.
plus the non-proprietary, proprietary powers that you needed, like 24, 25, 28 volt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
didn't change that. The current the cinema display like I have, like my 30-inch cinema,
That's a better
requires
design.
a
That's a better design.
24-volt power supply. I had to make one.
Well, unless you, like me, have an actual original one.
Yeah. Is that for a 30-inch?
Mine's actually not. It came with my 20-inch. I'd have to
Yeah.
look at the amperage.
Then
For
it's
a 20-inch, she's going to send it over to Pennsylvania here one of these days.
I made a
No,
power
but see
supply for
the
30 inch
problem
too.
the
Worked
problem
great.
with the problem with the 30-inch is that it requires a 150 watt power supply, at least. Well, the official one is 150 watts,
Yeah.
and it's very very hard to find, and it's very expensive. So I just made my own with a LED light power supply I got from China, and it works
There you
great.
go.
I did the same thing. It works. It's been working for like 5 years now.
Yeah,
Saved it from the
I
trash.
didn't. Did you cut your connector?
Yeah, I still have the connector.
Yeah, but I used a power connector off a Mac Mini.
See,
Mac
I
Mini
almost
Logic board.
did that, but I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't have one around, so I just
Yeah,
snipped
I
it.
made a video about it, so if you want to,
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Much cleaner than
Hey,
mine,
I
I'm
need some
sure.
Mac Minis.
All right, guys, let's start wrapping everything up. We've got about 10 minutes left. So
I got a quick question for Mike. Do you already have a classic Mac in mind for next week or not yet?
Yeah, PowerBook 160.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I see explanation points next to two people on the chat, so I guess I'm missing some audio here.
No.
No,
just
you're
a
just
video.
missing a video.
Yeah.
Basically, I noticed that they come down when they come down into the bottom tray. I get exclamation points after they've been quiet for a while.
Yeah.
When they pop back up in the foreground, they come back again. So
Yeah, because
Now-
I'm hearing like sort of like garbage, gibberish audio, but never mind. It's probably just my.
No, that's just me talking after a few drinks. That's all.
Oh, my goodness. So,
all right, guys. Well, before we wrap it up, because we got Greg Hrutkay is doing his premiere here in about 20 minutes or so now.
yeah, 10.
But we do want people to go watch that. But we do want to reiterate our group FaceTime. We need you guys. So
Yep.
if you want to join the group FaceTime challenge, okay, that's what we should start calling it.
We
yeah.
have a record to set.
Yes, again, another group already scooped us back in November. They did 28. That was their max. We need to actually max this thing out to 32. That way we can be the first one to actually max it out.
And 32 individual connections.
Yes.
So
If we can get more,
we
that'd be
started
great.
experiencing problems when there were more devices per one person on the same network. It turned into a huge mess.
Yep.
So we need 32 actual people to join us on the call.
Yes.
And we prefer to have 32 people with the actual face image, not just audio. But, I mean, audio would be all right.
We'll take whatever we can get at this point.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Beggars can't be
Shut up,
choosers.
Rocky.
Because even if we have voice, I mean, that's still somebody using a connection.
Yeah. No, voice is
So,
fine.
you know,
I mean,
video
it's more
would be
fun.
better. We'd like to see them, But as long as we can communicate with them, I think we're good with that.
And of course,
I agree.
If
Collin,
anybody disagrees with me, that's fine. I don't care.
you guys are in.
Then go ahead.
Huh?
What?
No, go ahead, Greg.
And of course, Colin and Stephen, you guys are invited to it too.
Awesome. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And we do want to try to freak the system out, so we're going to actually test the heck out of it. We want to push this to the limit.
Oh, Garrett has a good point. We need 33 people just to see what happens when you try to
Yeah,
add
that's what I
one
was trying
more.
to say.
Yeah.
He
Good
beat
one.
me to the punch. Somebody
And,
scooped my whole little segue in there.
Greg, if you
Hey,
actually
Greg,
check your
Ken-
email, he already sent you his contact info so we can add him to the group.
Hey, Ken from Computer Clan just messaged me on Discord, so you may want to message him back. He's on Discord right now. So,
Okay. Yeah.
all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. So we appreciate all you guys showing up tonight, and keep the questions coming. Invite your friends. Make sure you comment, and subscribe, and
Don't
click that
forget-
little notification bell so you get notifications when we do go live.
Yep.
Which is every Thursday.
Every Thursday at 6 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and don't
7
forget
p.m. Central.
and the Power PC Challenge and all that stuff coming up.
Yep. All right, guys.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
So
Guys,
much.
have a
Yep.
good one.
Hey,
and
anytime.
We'll catch you guys later.
Thanks for watching. See
Welcome.
you next
Thank you.
week.
Thank you for joining us, guys.